functions and relationships. So the first part that is important to functions and relationship is what is a function. So for the context of grade 8 and 9, we're going to say a function is a rule between two sets of value, between the input and the output. In matric, we get very technical with it. Don't worry about it now. So just for now, there's an input. Something happens to the input. We call that a rule. And then there's an output. In grade 8 and 9, we are going to represent functions in mostly 3 ways, but it could be 4. So verbally, when it's like written out what the rule is. Flow diagrams, the spider ones, the inputs and the outputs, okay? Tables where we have x and y values usually, and equations where we also usually work with x's and y's. First, please also just note the difference between the independent and dependent variable. X is independent because we can choose any x value, and then the y value will depend on what we chose for the x. First, we're going to look at given an input and a rule, what is our output going to be? This is the one that you hope you get in the exam because these are very, very straightforward. So, if we look at this one, we have 4 different input values. You see there, they told you what variable it is in case you had to write it as an equation. They told you the inputs are x's. Then, for each x is going to be first times by 7, and then we add 4. That is what is happening to our x values every time, to our inputs. And then we get an output value, that is y. For negative 2, if we first multiply it with 7, we get negative 14. And when we plus 4, we get negative 10. Then minus 1 times 7 is minus 7. Plus 4 is minus 3. Then 0 times with 7 is of course 0. Plus 4 is 4. Okay, very important you notice the 0 input gives you whatever that plus or minus part is as an output. If we substitute 1 times 7 is 7, plus 4 is 11. Then if we look at the table that could be given, so over here we are given an equation on top here. Every time y is our output, for every output, is going to be equal to a half times the input, the x, plus 3. For every single one of those. If x is equal to minus 2, that's what's written there. X is minus 2, then y will be, you'll get y by saying negative a half times negative 2 plus 3. So of course this is 1 plus 3 is 4. Then if x is 0, you're going to get y is equal to negative a half times 0, which is of course 0, plus 3, so you'll get an output of 3. And you will do this for every single one of your input values. Maybe pause here, finish the rest for yourself, and then unpause to see if you were correct. And then we're going to look at example where you're given an equation and then your x values are given as x is equal to the set. This is set notation. So those curly brackets that you try your best to draw tells you x can be equal to negative 2 or negative 1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. But only those values, nothing else. Sometimes you'll also see instead of an equal sign, and actually the more common notation as you go along with maths would be the element sign. So saying x is an element of the set. But for now, our textbook uses equal, so it will be okay if you do it also. But in an exam, just look at what format was given to you and leave your answer in the same format, please. So we would do this the same way as we do with tables. They tell you x is equal to negative 2. So you go substitute 2 times negative 2 plus 3. You get negative 4 plus 3 is minus 1. We'll do the same here. X is equal to negative 1. You substitute y equal to 2 times negative 1 plus 3, and you'll get 1 as an answer, and so forth. Maybe pause and go do the rest yourself quickly. And then you go write your final answer as y is equal to the set and you list all your answers.